A. So the future of the Xenoblade series has kind of been in limbo ever since Future Redeemed. It kind of opened it up to a wide spread of possibilities with Xenosaga, Xenoblade X, or just a continuation with a new storyline of the Xenoblade main trilogy, the main numbered games. And with Xenoblade X getting its inevitable remaster and the addition of Chapter 13, that also opens up this series to new possibilities. We could possibly get a Xenoblade X2, or they're connecting X to the main trilogy. However, I think that the Chapter 13 ending kind of strengthens that Xenosaga could possibly fit into Xenoblade. This is something that has been speculated since the Future Redeemed ending, with, we all know, the very iconic ending where it shows the blue light falling to Earth. Some people said it was the white whale, some people say it was Cosmos, which, I mean, it's pretty much identical to the ending of Xenosaga 3. As well as the whole radio sequence with the Vector Radio, the name drop of Dmitry Yuriev for the Xenosaga fans, and for X fans, there was a Project Exodus in like the mass departure from Earth in the Philadelphia class motherships. So there was stuff leading towards X and Saga. And there was always a debate about connecting Xenoblade X to the main trilogy and connecting Xenosaga to the main trilogy, and how Xenosaga wouldn't ever be able to connect to Xenoblade X because there were a lot more inconsistencies and things that would have to be retconned to fit it into X versus fitting it into the main trilogy, which it would fit in pretty well. But now with the new Chapter 13 ending from Xenoblade X DE, I think Xenosaga could fit perfectly into Xenoblade X, if not more than the main trilogy, and I kind of want to talk about that in today's video. And that's because the ending to Xenoblade X Chapter 13, that kind of tells us quite a bit about Xenosaga connecting. Just that ending alone can kind of allow Xenosaga to connect to X. Now, one of the major reasons why people said that Saga can never connect to X is because Xenoblade X has a plethora of alien races of all different kinds, and Xenosaga, it is specifically stated that humans are the only sentient beings in the universe. There are no aliens in Xenosaga. There's only humans and the Gnosis. So there are no aliens at all. So they would have to retcon a lot of stuff in order to fit Saga into X, mainly because of that point alone about there being no aliens. Well, now with the knowledge that the Xenoblade X party can basically hop universes whenever they want thanks to the Ares, it is possible now that Xenoblade X can fit into Saga. But you might be asking, how would that be possible? Because the Xenoblade X party still has aliens with them, and I'll explain that in a little bit. So how they could connect is that, if you don't remember the ending of Xenosaga, or the ending of Xenosaga 3, we see Cosmos' destroyed body floating towards what is most likely Lost Jerusalem, and we can see rings around the planet. That's kind of similar to the Chapter 13 ending, where the Xenoblade X party leave their universe to go into a brand new universe, and then they happen upon a planet that also has rings around it. So it could connect in that this is Lost Jerusalem from Xenosaga that Cosmos lands on, as well as the X party, and how they can connect it to within like an X2 could be a combination of Xenosaga 4, of what Xenosaga 4 was supposed to be, and Xenoblade X2, to where the X party meet up, find Cosmos on Lost Jerusalem, her destroyed body, find Cosmos there, maybe being tended to by Chaos. Maybe Chaos got there in time, or they got there before Chaos, and they take in Cosmos's battered body and they basically fix her, and then Cosmos introduces herself and like what is going on, like what happened in the Xenosaga 3 ending toward all the way up until now when she meets the party. And then later in the game we find Chaos, and then they all join up to be one big party. Now what the story would be about is if you don't remember, in the Xenosaga 3 ending, Wilhelm gives his entire exposition dump, and he basically says that the key to stopping the end of the universe, the destruction of the universe, is found on Lost Jerusalem. So that's why Cosmos is searching for Lost Jerusalem to find whatever this key is to stop the destruction of the universe. So the story of this X2 Saga 4 game could be the party meeting up with Chaos and Cosmos, and then they all would, you know, go on a trek to find whatever this key is to stop the destruction of the universe. And this would still all work because the X party would, they left their universe to go into the Xenosaga universe. Now, again, with the whole no aliens thing, obviously that was all the way up until that point. The Xenoblade X party, they happen into this universe before, you know, or after all of the events of Xenosaga. So obviously at that time there were no aliens, but now there are, with the X party meeting up with, what's her name, Cosmos on Lost Jerusalem. And considering Lost Jerusalem was, you know, lost, it kind of just disappeared, no one really knows where it's at or what's there, we could have the X party on Lost Jerusalem and no one really would know about that except for Cosmos and Chaos. And an idea I have that would be very cool to kind of mix Xenosaga and Xenoblade X together, and this would build on what Takahashi said. If you all remember, a while ago Takahashi kind of had like an interview or a statement or something about how the next game is going to go against all of the players' expectations. It'll basically blow our minds. It's not going to be anything we expect, and I feel like the idea I have could work with that. So since we know in Xenoblade X, the main like antagonist, the main force like going against the party are the ghosts, because that's the main danger, is the ghosts destroying the universes, you know, chasing the Ares. So, and in Xenosaga, the main like force, I guess, are the Gnosis. So maybe in this Xenosaga X2 game, we could be fighting the Gnosis and the ghosts at the same time. So two major threats. In all of the Xenoblade games, there's only really been one major threat we had to worry about. In Xenoblade 1, it was the Mechon, and then I guess Zanza after we kind of dealt with all of that. So it's kind of one after another where you didn't really have to deal with both at the same time. And then in Xenoblade 2, the major threat was basically Torna, you know, Jin and Malos trying to take Pyra or the Aegis as we make our way up to Elysium. Xenoblade 3, it was Mobius, and by association the consoles, which are basically the same thing. And then in Xenoblade X, it was the Ganglion. We never really had a game where we had to, you know, fight two threats at the same time. So in this new Saga X game, we could be fighting the ghosts and the Gnosis at the same time. And to even like blow our minds even more, to go even more above and beyond to we really wouldn't expect, is we could split the game into like two pieces, kind of like how Trails into Reverie does it, where you select different paths to play through and you switch between them throughout the game. We could do that in the game, where we could play the Xenosaga side where we play as Cosmos and Chaos throughout the game for a little bit, and then we switch over to the X's party's perspective and their point of view and play as them, and then around the middle of the game them two meet up, and then for the rest of the game we could like play with two different combat styles of the Xenosaga party and the Xenoblade X party, and you can like mesh a whole bunch of elements from Saga and X together to make like a big huge like crossover. That'd be really fucking dope, and no one would expect that, like Takahashi said. So whatever they're working on, it's going to be huge. So basically, all in all, Xenoblade X and Saga could fit in pretty well with each other because the endings are pretty much identical. Same with Future Redeem. So it kind of seems like everything is pointing towards Xenosaga, with the Future Redeem ending could be literally Cosmos falling to Lost Jerusalem, or it could be the white whale going to the new planet, which that in and of itself also resembles the Xenosaga 3 ending. So with Future Redeem and X, like chapter 13 endings both resembling Xenosaga, it kind of like leads us to believe that Xenosaga is next. So Saga can fit into X now, or I guess X could fit into Saga because of the whole hopping universe thing. So it's kind of a cheap cop out for some people. Like, oh, it's a new universe, so new rules, literally anything can happen. You just go to a new universe where this is possible. So we're now in a universe potentially where it's possible for X to connect to Saga. We could have landed on Lost Jerusalem and we find Cosmos there, and then, you know, the Xenosaga story can be continued from what it was supposed to be, even though it's not going to be told exactly how. It's very rough, like, continuation of the Saga story told through Xenoblade X. So I think it's very possible now. It's very possible. Like, after playing chapter 13, it only led me to think that Saga is next even more than I already did with Future Redeem. So only time will tell. I'm very excited to see what they're doing for the next game, and I really hope we get an announcement this year. That'll be really dope. But that's about it. See you next mission and play some goddamn Xenoblade.